The rain had been falling since dawn, turning the narrow streets into shimmering rivers that reflected the pale city lights. People hurried past with umbrellas raised high, focused only on reaching somewhere warm and dry. Hardly anyone noticed the woman sitting quietly beneath the small bus shelter at the end of Maple Street. Emma Carter pulled her thin jacket tighter around herself as the cold wind swept through the open shelter. Beside her, curled against her shoulder, her 6-year-old daughter Lily slept peacefully despite the weather. Her tiny face looked calm, almost as if she were dreaming of a happier place where dinner was always waiting on the table and bedtime came with warm blankets instead of uncertainty. Emma gently brushed a strand of blonde hair away from Lily's face. "I'll figure something out," she whispered, though she wasn't sure whether she was speaking to her daughter or trying to convince herself. Only 8 months earlier, life had been completely different. She had worked as a receptionist at a small dental clinic. The pay wasn't impressive, but it covered rent, groceries, and Lily's school supplies. Their apartment was tiny, yet every corner held laughter. Every Friday evening they made homemade pizza together. Every Sunday morning they walked to the park with stale bread to feed ducks by the lake. Life wasn't perfect. It was enough. Then everything began falling apart. The clinic closed unexpectedly after the owner declared bankruptcy. Emma searched everywhere for another job. She attended interviews, submitted applications, and accepted temporary work whenever she could find it. But every employer wanted someone with more experience or someone who could work nights and weekends. She had no one to watch Lily. Every rejection chipped away at her confidence. Then came the overdue rent notices. Bills piled higher on the kitchen counter. The landlord gave her extra time because he knew she was trying. But patience has limits. Eventually, the eviction notice arrived. Emma packed everything they owned into 3 suitcases and a cardboard box while Lily quietly folded her favorite stuffed rabbit into her backpack. "Are we going on vacation?" Lily had asked with innocent excitement. Emma forced a smile. "For a little adventure." Children believed what they wanted to believe. Adults carried the truth alone. Over the following weeks they stayed in cheap motels whenever Emma could afford one. On difficult nights they slept in shelters that were already overcrowded. Sometimes they simply kept walking until morning because nowhere had space for them. Yet every morning Emma made sure Lily's uniform was clean. Every afternoon Lily attended school with her homework completed. No teacher knew the little girl had nowhere permanent to sleep. Emma refused to let homelessness steal Lily's childhood. Now, sitting inside the cold bus shelter, Emma counted the few coins left inside her pocket. Barely enough for 2 small sandwiches. She sighed. Tomorrow she had another interview. Maybe this one would finally change everything. Across town, Daniel Brooks stared through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the tallest building in the financial district. At 38 years old, he had become one of the youngest self-made millionaires in the city. His technology company employed hundreds of people. Business magazines praised his leadership. Television hosts called him a visionary. Investors competed to work with him. Yet every evening his luxurious penthouse felt painfully empty. Money had purchased comfort. It had never purchased peace. His assistant stepped into the office. "Sir, your driver is waiting." Daniel nodded without looking away from the rain. "I'll be down in a minute." After another long meeting with international investors, he should have been celebrating. Instead, an unfamiliar heaviness rested on his heart. Perhaps success wasn't supposed to feel this lonely. As his car moved through the wet streets, traffic slowed near Maple Street because of road construction. Daniel absent-mindedly looked out the window. That was when he saw them. A woman holding a sleeping child. Both soaked despite the shelter above them. The little girl's shoes were worn nearly through at the toes. The woman looked exhausted but remained awake, watching every passing car with quiet determination rather than desperation. Something about her expression caught his attention. She wasn't asking for help. She wasn't begging. She was simply enduring. The traffic light turned green. The driver began moving. Daniel glanced back through the rear window. For reasons he couldn't explain, he couldn't stop thinking about them. "Turn around," he suddenly said. The driver looked surprised. "Sir?" "Go back." Within moments the black luxury sedan pulled alongside the bus shelter. Emma immediately became cautious. Expensive cars rarely stopped for people like her. The rear door slowly opened. A tall man stepped out into the rain without bothering to open an umbrella. Their eyes met for the first time. Neither of them realized that this ordinary rainy evening was about to become the beginning of a story that would forever change both of their lives. He took one careful step forward, not wanting to frighten the little girl sleeping against her mother's shoulder. "Excuse me," he said gently. "I hope I'm not interrupting, but are you and your daughter all right?" Emma instinctively tightened her arms around Lily. Months of hardship had taught her to be cautious of strangers, no matter how polite they seemed. She studied the man standing before her. His tailored coat, polished shoes, and calm demeanor suggested a life completely different from her own. Yet there was no pity in his eyes, only genuine concern. For the first time in months, someone had stopped not to judge her, but simply to ask if she was okay. And somehow, that simple question felt more powerful than she could have imagined.